Hey my friends, it has been a hot minute since I have done a podcast episode. But I did say at the end of the 300th episode back in 2021 that I would pop back in here once in a while. And hey, I decided to do that this time, and I decided to try my hand at a video podcast as well. So you might be listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, or you might be watching it on my Careers by Jenn YouTube channel. I don't know. And I think I'm going to be using trying out different platforms to do the video part on, because it's a little tricky technically. Things have changed. And people aren't using Zoom anymore for doing video podcasts, and so I'm learning, and this old brain has to keep things going. So anyway, I'm really glad to be back with you, and today I want to talk about limiting beliefs. And I know that phrase is a catchphrase, you've heard it before, but I wanted to talk about what it means and to think a little bit about ways to overcome our limiting beliefs, because we all have them, every single one of us. Even especially very, very successful people have had to work on limiting beliefs and things that get in the way. And so what is a limiting belief, and what can you do about it, is my question. And every once in a while, if you see me on camera looking down at my notes, it's because I have a few in front of me here. The limiting belief means, in the way I understand it, is that it is anything that is something that you hold to as true. A belief is anything you hold to be true. And a limiting belief is one that limits you in some way. So, for example, you shouldn't sing because you have a bad voice. Might instill something in you that you believe in the future, after you hear that conversation, that you are not a good singer, or that you can never learn to be a good singer. And if you hold that belief and you never try it, then you're never going to sing, right? So it's anything that maybe you heard, that has been told to you, that you have learned, that you have experienced. And yeah, there are some people who are not great singers, and so that could be a limiting belief that is in fact valid. But there are lots of these beliefs that are not valid, because what happens is we get this belief, and then our brains do this thing where they look for validation. Our brains are so old and function in order to keep us safe, right? That's what the brain does. It keeps us safe. And so what it does is it looks everywhere for the validation of the belief that you hold, no matter what the belief is. If you believe that you are afraid of speaking in public, for example, then anything that presents itself might look like a threat that has anything to do with speaking in public, and therefore you will have this whole bodily reaction. Your mind will look for things to validate the fact that you are terrified of public speaking, and it will make it that much more difficult for you to overcome. It's not impossible, though. It's not impossible to overcome a limiting belief. Now, how do you do that? How do you overcome this belief that you've had that's long held? First of all, you have to be aware of it. You have to even know that you have a limiting belief. You have to realize that that loop that you've been telling yourself over and over again came from somewhere. Where did that come from? And that's the first thing, oh, that's what I think. Why do I think that? Take a look at the language, or listen for the language around that belief. What kind of words do you use? Because the words that we use become our meaning, become our reality. So what words are you using? I could never do X. Well, then you won't. Because you have limited yourself, and you are reinforcing that even just with the words that you are using. So listen for the words. Do you say can't, never, would not, etc.? What is the pattern, the language pattern around the statement that you're saying to yourself? And then what's the evidence? Was it someone saying to you when you were young that you shouldn't sing, or you should sing more quietly in the choir because you're off key and you're, ruining it for everyone else, or some horrible thing? What is it that was said to you, and is there a way that you could learn to overcome whatever that is? I'm just using that singing analogy because it happened to me, and yet now I sing in public, not comfortably, but I do it at work in my job as a church minister, and sometimes I'm doing it into a microphone, and it's not great, but it's also not the terrifying thing that I used to think it was. So there are ways to push yourself to bring in new evidence so that that belief can get changed, can get switched, can get eliminated in some cases. One of the things that I notice when I coach people is that we often get in our own way, and sometimes all the way down to self-sabotaging ourselves because we believe something that we can't even articulate until someone helps bring it out of you. And often I recognize the limiting belief of I am not enough. And someone might say, I'm afraid to do this, or I don't think I can, or I would never be able to do that. And sometimes when you dig down, what you're discovering is that belief that I am not enough. And there are so many of us that have this limiting belief, and it really is limiting in many ways, because then what it does is it causes us to second guess. It causes us to limit our lives by not pursuing the things that we could be pursuing, by not doing things that we might do that would help forward us, further us towards the goals and the dreams that we actually have. And so limiting beliefs and the language around them are extremely powerful and can stop us from doing the things that we really want to do. So what is it that you want to be doing? And so I'm gonna leave you with a question. This is not going to be a super long podcast, but I'm going to leave you with the question: what is holding you back from doing what it is that you want to be doing? Maybe it's getting that particular job. Maybe it's advancing in your career. Maybe it's having a stronger relationship with the people in your life. Maybe you are wanting to begin a relationship. Maybe you are wanting to try something that you've never tried before. And your brain, because it is so good at keeping you safe, says things to you like, that would be dangerous. That would be risky. What would people think? What, all these things. Your own mind will tell you all sorts of things. And if you don't question those, if you don't push back a little bit to that organ that is trying to keep you safe, then it's really hard to grow. So my question for you, my friend, is what is the language that you hear yourself saying? And what are your limiting beliefs? What is stopping you from doing what it is that you really, really want to do? And leave me a message. Let me know. I'd really love to hear what your limiting belief is, because we all have them, as I said before, and they will come and they will go. You get better and better after you practice recognizing them and questioning them and saying, really? maybe I could work on that, right? And maybe I could work on that and overcome that. So that's my little challenge for you. And if you need some help doing that, I do have one or two, just not very many, but one or two spaces left for coaching, one-to-one coaching. And if you're interested in learning more about that, then you can email me, info@CareersbyJenn.com, and we will have a chat and see if we would be a fit to work together to help you get that transformation, step into your success, and get to the goal that you are working. All right, my friends, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I will be back in the near future, I think, for another episode of the Careers by Jenn